Gallup finds citizens of many of the world's most powerful nations have low confidence in their media. We talked to Frank Smythe, a representative of the Committee to Protect Journalists. A 2007 Freedom House report ranks Rwanda at 181, a country with no press freedom. The U.S. is ranked at 16 and is considered a country with free press. But Gallup finds a country's ranking on the scale of press freedom does not necessarily parallel respondents' confidence in their media. In fact, in many cases, the opposite is true. I spoke with Frank Smythe, a journalist and representative from the Committee to Protect Journalists, to get his assessment on Gallup's findings and what exactly makes a country's press free.
We take into account, when we're looking at press freedom in any country, a variety of factors, and that could be overt censorship, including the imprisonment of journalists and shutting down news organizations that you see most commonly in nations like China or Cuba. Or it could mean more subtle ways to control the press, like ordering a tax audit on a newspaper that is critical of the government, or even organizing government boycott of advertising revenues, especially in smaller countries where papers may be dependent on that. Or it can involve acts of violence. For example, the Philippines, which scored quite high, according to the Gallup poll, of respondents saying they had confidence in the media. The Philippines has been the most murderous nation for journalists after Iraq in the world since 2000.
Gallup polled in over 130 countries, and they did a comparison of public perception of their own quality and integrity of their media. And when we compared those results to Freedom House's ranking of free press, we actually found a lot of times that there were some huge differences, because it seemed the freer the country, the lower the confidence people had in their media. So why do you think this is happening?
Well, when you have a free press, you have a diversity of media, and that means you're going to have some very good, very responsible, very professional news outlets, and you're going to have some less professional, less accurate news outlets. So the public perception in any given country, in a nation where you have a diversity of media and a relatively free press, may be based on the performance of that media on a number of particular stories and how well they've been able to cover events. You shouldn't expect that necessarily to run parallel with the level of freedom in the country.
So let's talk about the United States, for instance, which ranks very high on Freedom House's rankings. But yet, when Gallup polled in the U.S., over 60% of Americans say they do not have confidence in the quality and integrity of their media. So what do you think is happening here in the United States?
I think two things could be at play. One is you have people losing confidence with the media because of the media's failure, for example, to adequately report the accuracy about whether or not Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. But you also, I think, have situations where when people look at the media, they're looking at the media, there's the media they like and the media they don't like. So they may not, quote, like the media, but there may be certain outlets that they would prefer, for example, blogs or more partisan news outlets, either on the left or the right or somewhere in between, that fit their worldview.
Now let's go to the other side of the spectrum. 86% of people in Rwanda said they had confidence in the quality and integrity of their media. But according to the Freedom House ranking, they were at 181, which is extremely low. So what do you think is going on in Rwanda?
I think whenever you're looking at any of these measures in any country, you've got to place them into context. Okay. Rwanda had a genocide in 1994 where the media was used to incite violence and to actually encourage and to carry out tactical planning in terms of identifying where the, quote, enemy was at the time for the people carrying out that genocide. So I think when Rwandans are asked about their confidence they have in their media, they're not comparing it to media, let's say, in France or the United States. They're comparing it to the media they had before under the previous dictatorship.
Then we have Venezuela, which I think is a really interesting case, because you had RCTV a few months ago that was shut down by Chavez's government, and it was replaced with a state-run network. You had people all throughout the streets of Venezuela protesting the shutdown of RCTV. Then you have over 50% of Venezuelans saying that they have confidence in the quality and integrity of their media.
When people express confidence in the media, it may be because it's a political statement in Venezuela, I think, or at least I didn't see it would be taken in that context. They're saying, yes, I have confidence in the media, which doesn't mean that I reckon that there's a plurality of media, there's a full diversity of media, but they have confidence because they like the media they have access to. Now, the other 46% or so, or 44% of those respondents would have no confidence in the media. Though they'll also be expressing a political point of view.
I'm Yasmin Vasugian, and join us again to hear more voices from around the world.